Hey guys, you know one thing that I've been using quite a bit more are these grow bags. I've been using them for quite a few years, but I've only recently started using them more extensively. So you're going to see them probably around the property here a lot more. If you just Google using grow bags, there's a lot of articles and videos on the benefits of using them. So I'm not going to get into all that, but I got to tell you, I'm really impressed with these, and the more I use them, the more I want to use them. So rather than get all the I'm a blowhard, right? I mean, I could easily go on, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to actually get into how I actually make these, and they're really inexpensive to make. So let's just get right into the making, okay? Okay, so the first thing you want to do is get yourself some landscape fabric. Now, not just any landscape fabric. You want to get the stuff that is thicker. Now, I like the Dewitt brand because it has on here, it says the year. Now this is a 12-year fabric, and it's much thicker than, say, like their 3-year. Now this was $15 for a 3-foot by 50-foot roll. Okay, so let me show you this stuff here. See if you can see that on the camera here, how thick that is. The really thin stuff, like the 3-year stuff, you can actually see through it. You can hold it up like this, and it's like, I mean, it's like Kleenex. You can just, I mean, you can't rip it, but it's that thin. So this stuff here, if you hold it up to the light, you can see the light through it, but you can't actually see objects through it. And so this is the stuff that you want, nice and thick. Okay, so this grow bag here is about a 1 gallon. It's 6 inches by 6 inches, and it's about 8 inches tall. And I love the 1 gallon because I'm able to grow things like lettuces, and they're manageable too. I can move them around easy. But I grow lettuces and other greens in here, and believe it or not, I've even grown some of my dwarf tomatoes in here, and they've done perfectly fine. They've done well. So I'm going to show you how to make this one first. And now you can make any size that you want, of course. I've made 5-gallon ones before. Once I show you how to make these, you'll kind of understand how it's done, and so you can adjust the measurements accordingly to make any size that you want. You can make even smaller ones if you want to. But let's go ahead and I'll lay my fabric out, and I'll show you how to make the 1-gallon grow bag, and then you'll get the idea of how to do it. So let's lay out the fabric. Okay, so for the 1-gallon bag, I'm going to cut a piece that is 12 inches by 24 inches. And this stuff cuts very easily with just a pair of scissors. And then to mark it, I just have one of these, it's a colored pencil, but it's one of those erasable ones. And I use this for like other fabric because I want to erase it. I don't want to see the lines, but I don't care if I see the lines here. You know, and the beauty of working with this stuff here is this is not a wedding dress, and so like nobody's going to really care. I mean, who's going to care if it's a little bit off and it's just the corners aren't perfect, right? I mean, the spiders or the worms, I mean, they're not going to really care. So, all right, so there is my 12 by 24. Now what I'm going to do is, now also if you didn't have a long piece and you're just using scraps or whatever, you can just use 2 pieces that are 12 by 12. And I just have the luxury of having a longer piece, and then I can fold it over, and then I don't have to sew one edge. But if you're putting 2 pieces of fabric together, then just you'll just sew this edge. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew 2 edges here, this one and this one. So I'm going to have 3 closed edges. But before I do that, I want to make my top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down about 1/4 of an inch here, and I'm going to sew a hem or a seam along here. And what that does is that'll kind of stiffen the top of. If it's just left, I guess you wouldn't have to, because this stuff doesn't typically fray. But the purpose of doing it is so that it won't fray, just in case it wanted to, and it will stiffen the top up a little bit. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin this or use my clips on it. Typically with woven fabric like cotton and stuff, you would press this, you would use an iron on this. But because this has a plastic type material, if you try to put an iron on this, you're going to end up with a big glob. Oh, it'll stick all right. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clip this, and then we're going to sew a seam right along here before we start putting the bag together, okay? Okay, so I've got my clips on here. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I almost forgot to mention what I'm using for thread. I'm using what's called, let me see if I can get a good shot here. It's called Coats Outdoor. And this is a polyester UV thread. In other words, the UV light doesn't break it down. If you were to just use a regular cotton thread on this, your bag is going to deteriorate very quickly. And so you want to make sure you use this outdoor stuff. And it's actually quite a bit thicker too, so it works well with this plastic type stuff here. And so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew this seam along here. And I hope that my big fat sausage fingers don't get in the way. I'm not the world's greatest sewer, but and I really didn't want this to turn into a sewing tutorial anyways. I leave that for other channels. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, it would help if I turn the machine on, and I'm going to start it and do a back stitch to set the thread. And I have to, you know what, it's really funny, my wife thinks that this is hilarious. This machine that I have, I only paid like 79 bucks for it. And it's been a wonderful machine, but why she laughs is because it's got flowers all over it. It's the Brother JX2517, and I just got it because it was inexpensive. But it works like a charm. This has been a great machine for me. But so anyways, because she's been laughing so much about my machine, she went and she put flames on my machine. I'll show you that in a second. It's really hilarious because you know, I'm actually very secure in my manhood, so the flowers didn't bother me. But I think she manned it up a little bit for me and put some flames on here, and so it looks like I don't know, a sports car now. And then when I get to the end here, I'm going to go ahead and do another back stitch, reverse, basically just a reverse stitch. Okay. Okay, so now let's slide this back and let me show you what I'm doing here for this. Let's get rid of this extra thread. Okay, so I want to sew these open edges and leave the top open. And when I do this, I want to go this way because I want the seam, the cut part to be out, because I want all my seams to be out. So when I turn the bag right side out, this won't show. What you'll just see is the thread seam right here. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay a stitch down here and up here and leave this open, okay? And I'm going to give it about 1/4 inch seam allowance. And what I will also do is I always run 2 stitches. Now I don't have this really expensive, sophisticated machine that'll run 2 stitches. There are some machines out there that I guess that are very sophisticated and can do that. They have 2 needles or something. I don't know. I think I read something about it, but I don't really care. I'll just take the time and run 2 stitches, and it doesn't take much time really. I probably don't need to do that. I can probably just do it with 1 stitch. I've always run 2 just because it's stronger. And so there we go. I love these clips here. I think they're so much better than pins, because pins just annoy me, because if you happen to drop one, good luck finding it. Oh, here you can hear my dog collar. No, not my dog collar, my dog's collar. And on this here, I'm going to back stitch. And I'm going to run it fairly close to the edge. Typically when you're running this, you don't keep an eye on the needle, you keep an eye along here. You find an edge here, a marking, and then you just run it along the marking. That way your seam comes out straight. And then when you come to the end to turn, the trick is to make sure your needle is down in the fabric like that. When you lift your foot, you lift the foot and then you just pivot it on the needle. I've seen some people that the needle is up and then they have to adjust it and their thread moves and stuff like that, but that's just, I mean, that's my thinking anyways. That's how I do it. So we turn the corner, we continue on. Yeah, this machine it's been a wonderful machine for me. But you know what, I suppose because it's my first machine, I'm impressed with it because I don't know any difference, you know what I'm saying? So it's like my first car was a piece of junk, and it was, I mean, it had all kinds of problems with it, but I loved it because it was my car. Okay, so let's go ahead, and now I'm gonna go ahead, and I won't bore you with you watching me do another stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make the bottom, basically to square it off. If we were to just leave it like this and fold it right side out, you'd just end up still with a flat bag. But let me show you how to square off the bottoms. Okay, so I want a 6-inch bottom, so I want it to be 6 inches wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a square. I'm going to cut on the bottom part here. It's open up here. I'm going to make a 3-inch square here and a 3-inch square here. That'll give me my 6 inches. And I know it sounds kind of complicated right now, but let me lay this out for you and I'll show you what's happening. Now I'm measuring 3 inches from the seam, not from the outside of the bag. Okay, so it's 3 inches. I really should sharpen this pencil. It's white. And like just like anything else with these bags, I'm not trying to be perfect. So I'm going to go up 3 inches here. I should sharpen this thing. It's like, okay, so there is my 3-inch square right here. I'm going to do the same on this side also. So there. Now, what I want to do is I want to take the bag and I want to match this side seam up with the bottom seam, just like this. So I'm going to take it on edge and then I'm going to match these two seams like this. Now I want to match them because I'm going to continue drawing a line across here. Now this should be 6 inches. So what I want to do is I'm going to lay one seam that's on this side, I'm going to lay it one way and then lay this one another way. And all that does is makes it easier for me to lay it flat. Okay, so I'm going to lay it down here, and this should be 6 inches across here. And if it's not, then I'm a little bit off, which means I've got to adjust this a little bit here. So this has to come over just a hair, just like that. See, I was a little bit off. I didn't quite have it matched up. After you've done this enough, you can actually just kind of even eyeball it and just shift it this way, one way or the other with your thumbs. And you know, and even then, to tell you the truth, most of the time when I made these, I haven't even measured it. I just go ahead and just mark my line and not even worry about it. So that right there should be my 6-inch mark, right there. Yep, that's 6 inches right there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue this line across here. So that's where I'm going to lay my stitch down. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the machine, and I'm going to put a stitch right here. Okay, let me mark my other side before I do that. That way I can just, when I bring the machine back over, I don't have to stop. So, okay, so just like that, I'm going to go ahead and put a stitch there and a stitch here. Okay, I wanted to actually show you what my wife did. This is the original here with the flowers and whatnot, and then she went and put the flames on here to kind of, I guess, man it up or something like that. But no, I'm secure in my manhood. I'm okay with the flowers, but God bless her. It was funny. So her and my daughter laugh about my machine. The very last step is to cut off this stuff here because we don't need it. Anything on the outside of this stitch. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch and cut these off because we do not need them. Like that. Okay, now the bag is just about complete. The last thing is to, moment of truth, turn it right side out, and we should have ourselves a nice little 1 gallon grow bag. Just push the corners out like that, and there we go. There is the 1 gallon grow bag. Now, as I said before, you can adjust this to any size that you want. Make it much larger. If you wanted one that was just a little bit bigger, like an inch or two, instead of the 12 by 24, go 14 by 28 and whatnot. That's going to give you a 7-inch bag. So, just, you know, the possibilities are endless. So, there it is, the 1 gallon grow bag. Piece of cake. Now, once you get this down, you can make it in just a few minutes. Okay, well, there are the grow bags, and I think that if you start using these, I think you're going to enjoy them, and I think that you're going to find that you're going to get some really good production out of them. And like I said, that you can make these any size that you want. I've actually seen some where people are, I mean, they look like they're like 6 feet in diameter, and so I think there's no end to the size or what of these. So. Yeah, just if you've got some landscape laying around or whatever, even if you have to go down and buy it, it's not that expensive. So, yeah, give these a try. I think you're going to be thoroughly impressed. All right? Well, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch y'all later.